Hi everyone, it's Linda from LindaZ in Arlington Heights. Today I am going to show you another method of doing and using your decorative stitches. This happens to be a Bernina for binding. I think you're going to love it. I've had a lot of comments and people asking me, can you show me a couple of other things to do differently on my machine than I've done before? So what I did today, I have put together, I have 3 feet here. The number 1 foot is number 20, and I'm going to take it out of the box because I think you'll be able to see it a little bit better. And this is for a 5mm machine. Some of you know that I just love the 720, which is a Bernina that's no longer made, but they have come out with a 735. And when I do these decorative stitches on my binding, maybe I'll pull it over here. This I just absolutely think is one of the best ways and methods of putting this binding on and using one of my decorative threads because this machine that I have, the 735, is a 5mm machine. So I would use this number 20, which is for 5mm, 5.5. The next one is for a 9mm, and that is a 20D, and it has got a very flat back, and it's a lot wider. You will see that it's got an opening in the back, and that really is that's because it's got a dual feed on the machine. And I can click that dual feed on and off, and it'll go right onto the machine. And then I have a 20C for those of you that do not have this dual feed on your machines, and it has a flat back, but it's real wide because our many machines, if you happen to have a 9mm and you don't want to use it and you don't have the dual feed, then you could use this 20C. Today I am sewing on a 590 Bernina, which is a 9mm machine, and I'm going to use the 20D because I want to use the dual feed and I want to be able to use the 9mm stitch. Many of you may have seen my placemat that I have here, or table runner. In one of my previous videos, I did this actually on a Janome. I did it using the stitch regulator, which was really a fun thing to do. But what I did differently is I wanted to show using this 5mm. You know, the Janome's got a wider zigzag than that. So I did a very tiny 2 1/8. I know that sounds awful, but I'm on some of my quilts and my table runners, I like a little narrower binding. And this one I actually did it at 2 inches. I should have done it at 2 1/8 because if you look real close, you're going to see a little line occasionally. And if I had cut it at 2 1/8 inches, you would never see that line on the back side. But the main thing that I want you to see, and I know it's hard on this fabric, is that this 5mm, 5.5, runs right along the edge of the binding, and the zigzag or the decorative stitch will be right in the middle of the foot. I'll put it on here so you can see it. It's really, really a wonderful foot. Other thing that I'm going to tell you, this is not the only way to do it. If you know, I have a couple of other videos out that I've done with edge stitching. We're going to do a binding video. I've done a couple already on using the serger. It's a real fun way to actually show you another method. So I'm just trying to expand your horizons a little bit and try some different things. You've got these great machines, let's use them. So today I want you to use this 20D. I'm not going to use the 5mm because I have that already. And I did a practice piece of fabric. They're just laughing at me here in the warehouse because I used a piece of scrap that we had somewhere. And you don't have scraps anywhere, do you? And I couldn't find the real fabric I wanted. And I took my binding. I'm going to walk over here to my iron. So what I wanted to show you over at the iron here is that I've taken a piece of binding, actually the binding that was on that other quilt. I'm not going to use the decorative piece. I'm going to actually turn it to the wrong side. So you've got black here so that I can put a decorative thread on top of this black and you'll be able to see it. But before I do that, I wanted you to see why I do this and how I do it. Normally, I do not press my binding before I sew it on. I press it when it's all done. But because this is actually going to be a decorative stitch, I wanted to be able to do it on the Laura Star. And what's great about this Laura Star, it's got these lines on here, so you can line up your piece very, very easily, and then just press a nice little crease. And then what I'll do is I will go back to my fabric here. I'm going to, this is a practice sampler, and I hope some of you do something like that for your quilting. It's really a great way for you to really experiment with your machine, see what you like, see what you don't like. You can write on it, you can, make all kinds of suggestions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this onto the wrong side, and I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to do the decorative stitch. And that's the important part that I wanted to show you. So let's go to the machine. I want to take the regular 1C foot, which is the normal foot that comes with your machine. I don't have to put the dual feet on or anything. And I don't know if you notice how easy this foot is to go on and off. I mean, it's just an amazing, easy. Just use one foot. I try to get it in there so you can see it. The other thing that I want to show you as I'm doing this is that I have put this decorative thread on the top of the machine, and it's called variegated thread. If you've never used it before, I think it would be well worth your time. I'll put the handle up and you can see it a little bit better. See how it looks like it's striped all the way across the thread? It really isn't. It's when they spin and make the thread, they dye it as it's going through. So you've got yellows and oranges, and there's all kinds of colors you can get. That's what I think is really fun when you get involved in, some of you're thinking outside of the box. You're doing a couple of other things. Now, normally I wouldn't use this on my, to make my straight stitch, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to regular sewing. I would normally only use a 1/4 inch foot when I'm putting the binding on, and I'm putting it on this particular one. It doesn't matter. I normally would put it onto the wrong side and flip it over to the right side. And I'm just going to sew this piece all the way down the edge here, because the main thing I want to focus on with you and show you, I'll cut it off, I don't need that long of a strip, is how to do this decorative stitch. Now you can see I'm going to flip this over, and now what I'm going to do is change my foot to the 20, you look on, I don't know if they can see that up here, 20D. If you look on the foot, it actually will tell you what number you are. And if you have another brand of sewing machine, I'm sure you have something similar to this. This built-in walking foot is just wonderful when you're putting and attaching binding, because it really does give you a opportunity to really get really good stitching. Now, I use my knee lift lever quite often. You see how that raises and lowers it? I'm not doing that I can leave my hands here, and I can raise and lower that knee lift lever with my knee, so that I don't have, so that I can keep my hands here. I don't even have any clips on here. I could, or I could put pins, but I'm so used to doing this that I don't need it. Now, of course, I don't want a decorative stitch. So what I'm going to do, these are all decorative stitches on that little zigzag there. And I found one that I kind of like in the 7 series file. And let's go back down and see if I can find it again. It was 724, I think. Well, yeah, I think that was it. Now you'll see why I like this thread. So what I'm doing, if you can see, I am guiding, let me get that scissors again so I can show you. I'm guiding this edge right here, the inside edge of the foot, right next to the edge of the binding. And if you notice on my screen, do you see how I made the zigzag real wide? I could go a little bit different. You see how I'm making it here a little bit, I could go to 9, and here I can make it a little shorter, or I can make it a little bit longer. I think I had it at 9.4, and I'm going to leave it there. And then I have it at the widest 9 millimeter that it can go to. And you'll see it's really pretty. Very, very easy to guide. And again, you could choose any design that you want, but it's going to go right in the middle of it. And because it is the 9mm, it's really going right to the edge of the binding. I'll do one more. Let's do one more. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and cut the thread. And look at how pretty that is. I don't know if you can they see it there, Nick? Is that it? Now think about all of the multitude of decorative stitches that you have in your machine. The back is really fun. It's held it together. It's put the binding on very, very easily. Now, of course, this decorative stitches on a blank piece of, a light piece of fabric is good. But you can see on this one, the decorative stitches just held this in place and gave it a real nice flat look. So the main thing that I wanted to accomplish today is to get you sewing and using your decorative stitches. So I hope this has helped you. I'll continue doing a few more of those because these are not the only feet. There are other things that you can do, but this 20D for a 9mm machine is just fabulous. Or like I said, the 20 for a 5.5mm is again just a great, great technique, and it just gives you a little bit of fun to finish your quilt with. So thanks so much for joining us. I have one quick thing to tell you. If you lasted this long, what's behind me? This is one of the quilts that we are auctioning off on the, actually we're giving it away free. You can watch the Wednesday lunch with Debbie and Tracy, my daughters. They do a lunch usually every week. And we are going to be giving you a way to be able to get it. It is a handmade quilt from India. I just absolutely love it. It's a great way. And again, thanks again for joining us. I hope to see you next week.